Is Jon Rahm going to go to LIV?
Mm.
Right now, it is just unnamed reports from Twitter accounts that are not associated with even real names.
You're setting me up for another rant, Rick.
I know, a preacher. I'm giving Greg an opportunity to preach today. But I think KP, you might have tweeted this out or you might have said it. You know, there have been times where Rahm has, when this has come up before, he's kind of been quick to deny it, which we haven't seen this time around. Obviously, the dynamics of LIV's relationship with the PGA Tour have changed as we're bearing down on the deadline for a framework agreement becoming a permanent agreement. So where do we stand on this whole thing?
Okay, I've got 3 things real quick. I'll try to keep it short.
Okay.
1, he hasn't, like you, I mean, you just said this, Rick, but one of my points was he hasn't denied it when in the past, he has denied it when the rumors have been half as strong, a quarter as strong. I mean, it's been like a lot of smoke for what, 10 days now?
Mm-hmm.
And there's been nothing. I think
like contract details.
No lineup had a report that his management or whatever wouldn't respond or didn't comment, or I can't remember the exact wording. So that's one thing. 2, people I've talked to that are not Twitter personalities with LIV in their name have kind of leaned toward him going to LIV. And so it's not just I think in the past, there's been this kind of stirring up of the waters by people who might be incentivized to do so, or it might be just like fun to, chum the waters, so to speak. This is certainly that, but there's something like additional there. I'm not reporting that so-and-so is saying anything, but there's been people outside of that are like, yeah, this is a real thing. And this is probably happening, which is fascinating. And then 3, the part that I don't get, Rick, and maybe we can discuss this, is the timing of it, not from Jon Rahm's perspective. I understand that completely, but the timing of it from LIV's perspective, where is it a situation, and I wrote about this in the Normal Sport newsletter, is a situation where the PIF is at the negotiating table saying like, well, $1 billion was going to be 22% of your organization, but now since we have Rahm, it's 26. Is it simply is it a bargaining chip?
I believe it is. And because it's a very strong bargaining chip. And it also implies that things could get much worse for you, right?
For sure.
Because if Jon Rahm goes to LIV and this deal does not get done, it's been fun, PGA Tour. It's nice knowing you, because Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, they'll be next to go, and we'll probably reach that tipping point. You know, the idea that the blood money that the PGA Tour has hid behind for 2 years and then said, we'll accept it. Well, now the players can just get it themselves, no questions asked, and the PIF has all the leverage in the world. So that is, yes, to me, whether they're real, whether they are maybe substantial, maybe good rumors, maybe accurate, I think this is a huge bargaining chip for LIV.
I think not only that, because when you look forward, it looks like the PGA Tour is going to have control of the Enterprise Starship, where
maybe
the PIF will have to negotiate with Jay and his cronies, and then likely kick him out and actually have someone who they deem competent running the ship. So it really could be the best of both worlds, where you poach their talent with Rahm, rumors of Cantlay, which I find not odd, but kind of odd given his position on the policy board. He was just extended. He just sent out that player memo to the rest of the membership, who, I mean, we haven't even talked about that, them sending their memo back to them, the petition for everyone to sign, where PIF could possibly negotiate with someone who they deem less than smart. I've talked to people who have been around Fenway who all agree Monahan has handled like a dunce, and have someone in the future lead it who they like.
You're talking about the PIF would do that?
Well, yeah, I mean, as it stands right now, if we're all, logically speaking, it would be they're dealing or they're negotiating with Jay Monahan. If they take Rahm, Cantlay, Xander, a whole new lot of stars, you're a PGA Tour player. You want Monahan gone. He's already broken your trust. He's proven he can't run the ship anymore. He can't protect his house. And so the PIF will have what, 30%, 40%. They're going to be a minority. They're not going to be a majority owner in this.
Oh, so you're saying they would basically be like walking tour players into getting a new person in leadership.
Correct. While negotiating with someone who they think they can take advantage of.
Yeah, which is, I mean, what a freaking mess. Like, how do we end up in I mean, I was talking to some guys today, just friends at church that were like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what, like, I can't even explain like what golf is going to look like in 2025 or whatever, to where it's like, okay, well, are you going to have two, like the part that I don't get, like what organization would ever want its assets separated like we have with the PGA Tour and LIV? I've been saying this for 12 months now. And yet when you hear Tiger talk on Tuesday at the Hero, he's talking about, well, we got to figure out how to incorporate team golf. Like if you read between the lines, LIV is not like it's staying, and which whatever, like that's totally fine if they want to do that, but I just don't get how it's all going to work together and interact. And maybe I have no vision for it. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just making all this up as they go.
Sounds like it, Greg. I think they are definitely making it up as they go along.
If you wrote Normal Sport 4 right now,
good luck.
Okay, not the one that's coming out in a couple weeks. You just wrote it now as a novel and made up the craziest stories you possibly could.
That would be awesome.
I don't know if it could get crazier than this.
Are we sure Kyle's not writing the script for all of this?
Yeah.
Like, have we ever considered that for the last couple of years?
No, I mean, yeah. The puppet master.
What just a weird, like, bleak dystopian turn of events.
And part of this is the thing I was going to rant on. Like, you don't know. I don't know. So you asked the initial question, Rick, is Jon Rahm going to LIV? And I would take a question like that normally and look at the evidence, look at what people have said, look at some strokes gain data, and try to figure out what's going on. But you have Jon Rahm, who said in person a number of things saying, I'm not going to go to LIV. I don't play for money. $400 million wouldn't change our lives. So I'm not going.
It's a sick quote.
But at the same time, on the other side, we're hearing rumors that sound very true, but they're coming from nameless Twitter accounts, which is it's one thing if Kyle Porter tweets it out, right? If you're wrong, Kyle, you're on the hook for it.
That bothers me. That bothers me a lot, where it's like, you don't even have to be right. Like, you're just saying, like,
and it can all be off the record. If Rory McIlroy is talking to Kyle Porter, he knows that Kyle is a writer for CBS, and what he tells him is either going to be, hey, this is off the record, don't write about it, or hey, this is going to be written about. Whereas if somebody's talking to me, if Rory's talking to me, or if I'm just in the room and Rory's talking to Jay Monahan and I'm, drinking a glass of water next to him and he tells him something, I could fire that out in a tweet as Isofire 7-Eleven.
Please do.
All of a sudden, nobody except people who listen to the First Cut podcast know who that is. And so there's like no credibility behind it. So it sounds like all these rumors have a ton of credibility behind them, but they come from unknown sources, unknown that get their information from unknown places. And it leaves me feeling, unknown and very frustrated.
Go off, Greg. Let's go. What do you think about Chris
career,
Stroud?
it's a career game from Greg.
Let's move on to Chris Stroud.
This stuff fires me up.
I agree. Like the lack of, and listen, like everybody gets stuff wrong. Like we're in this business where we make predictions and we have opinions, and of course, like you get stuff wrong, but the lack of like any accountability over whether you're reporting something over and over again that turns out to be false is just like, it's infuriating. Like, congratulations on like saying something that hasn't been true 25 times and on the 26th time it's true. Like there were no ramifications for you. Like that must be a fun way to make content.
But if it was true, if it was true, honest reporting and people were telling you, why wouldn't it be your name? It's great if you break a story and it's a big story in the game of golf. But the problem is, the reason you don't share your name is because people won't tell you those kind of things if they know who you are and what you do. Right? They're less likely to give Kyle Porter the dirt as a writer with a platform than they are me. Right? Somebody who they may not even know. And I'm having a conversation, it's not really going to go anywhere. Yet I do have a platform, but it's hidden behind a cloak.
Well, and I think Josh makes a good point here. He says it drives me, well, I don't know if he wants this out there, but I agree with it. So I'm going to just say it, Josh. So it drives me crazy that accounts like that actually have audiences. And I agree. There's my brother calls this the lack of media literacy. Like people look at Nuclear Golf and Rick Run Good and think that they're the same. And it's like, well, Rick Run Good has like real ramifications if he says a bunch of stuff that's untrue. Because all of a sudden he breaks trust with his customers that trust him, which is his entire business. And Nuclear Golf just keeps on tweeting. And like that differentiation is infuriating. Like it is absolutely infuriating. And hand up, I've gotten stuff wrong about like predictions, opinion, all that different. I'm not saying that I was wrong. I've been wrong about 1,000 things with LIV.
But you always take heat for it.
But I always take heat for it, and I don't put stuff out there that is just like not like true. Like not. It's always just my opinion. I'm not saying things as if they're fact that are not fact.